shall listen closely. When darkness wraps the world and dreams begin to stir, you've arrived at the right place. Welcome to Between Dreams and Shadows, the sanctuary of stories that live between sleep and the unknown. Here, every tale is more than a story. It's a portal to hidden worlds, forgotten secrets, whispers from beyond, and shadows that speak as your eyes begin to close. If you're drawn to mysteries, haunting legends, and stories that send shivers down your spine, this channel is your new nighttime ritual. Before we begin, I invite you to become part of this growing nightbound community. Subscribe now, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a tale. New stories drop regularly, always under the veil of night. Like this video, if you enjoy that chill before sleep. It helps this channel grow, and lets me bring you deeper, darker stories. Drop a comment below. Have you ever had a strange dream, or felt something watching in the dark? Your experience might inspire the next tale. Now, take a deep breath, turn off the lights, leave the world behind, and get ready to drift. Between dreams and shadows, setting the atmosphere. The quietest time of night isn't midnight. It's 3 a.m. Everything becomes still, not with peace, but with an unnatural hush that makes you feel like you're the only thing still alive. My name is Evelyn, and I've never feared the dark. At least, not until it began watching me. I moved into this apartment 3 weeks ago. A small studio on the 6th floor, wedged at the end of a narrow hall that smells faintly of old plaster and dust. No matter how much I clean, rent was cheap, which felt like a blessing. It was supposed to be a new beginning after the chaos of my last job. Quiet, solitary, and just far enough from the city to breathe. At first, I welcomed the silence. Nights here are different, heavy, even when the city beyond the window is still alive. This room feels removed. The air grows colder than it should, and there's this stillness, this pressure that makes the shadows feel thicker, like they're made of something heavier than absence. Every night, I wake up, not from a nightmare, not from noise. I just wake up, and it's always 3 a.m. Exactly, it's the same each time. My eyes snap open, and I feel a weight in the room. Not physical, more like a tension. Like I've walked into a room full of people who all turn to stare, except I'm alone. I check the time. 3 o'clock. Then I stare at the ceiling, heart beating just a little too fast. It doesn't feel like a dream. It doesn't feel like insomnia. Something wakes me. Something subtle, as if it's standing just outside my field of view, waiting. I tried brushing it off. Maybe I'm just stressed. Maybe I'm just adjusting to the new place. But there's something about the darkness here. Something about the corners of this apartment. They seem too dark. The lights flicker sometimes, just faintly, when I walk past the bathroom mirror. And once, just one sigh, thought I saw movement, a soft ripple of shadow in the reflection. Nothing there when I turned. Nothing ever when I turned. But I always feel it. A silent watcher in the quiet. A presence just outside the reach of understanding. I haven't told anyone. What would I even say? I think the shadows in my apartment are watching me. No, people don't believe you until it's too late. And deep down, I'm not even sure. I want to know what it is. Because some truths should stay hidden. Still, every night, without fail, 3 a.m. arrives, and something watches me. Not with eyes, but with intention. Like it's waiting for something. Or maybe, learning. And I can't help but wonder, what happens when it's done watching? The first signs of disturbance. The first time I noticed something actually change. I tried to convince myself it was nothing. It was small. So small that most people would have ignored it. My kitchen chair, it had shifted maybe 2 inches away from the table when I woke up one morning. I stared at it, brows furrowed, thinking maybe I bumped into it the night before and forgot. But I'm meticulous. I don't forget those things. I pushed it back, didn't think much of it, until the next morning. This time, the chair was turned angled, just slightly. as if someone had sat down and turned it to face the middle of the room. It was subtle, but deliberate, too precise to be clumsy movement. Still, I said nothing, did nothing, just stood in the kitchen, coffee going cold in my hand, staring at the chair like it would explain itself. That night, I went to bed early. I needed sleep, needed normalcy, but when I woke up again at 3 a.m., the room felt wrong. Everything looked the same. My books on the shelf, my coat by the door, except the mirror on the far wall had a thin diagonal smear across it, like something had touched it. A long, oily smudge. From the inside, I didn't move for several minutes. I just stared at it. My heart thudded in my ears, but everything else was silent. Too silent. The kind of silence that hurts your ears, like the world is holding its breath. I approached the mirror slowly, half expecting it to do something. But no, just a smear. No handprint, no markings. Just a slow, deliberate streak. From the upper corner down toward where my reflection would be. I cleaned it. Told myself condensation caused it. Something natural. Something explainable. The next night, I bolted the bathroom door, left all the lights on. I even slept with the TV, playing something mindless. Background noise to remind me I was real, that the world still spun. But it didn't matter. 3:00 a.m., eyes open. Cold air pressing against my chest like a warning. Only this time, the TV was off. I sat up, remote still on my nightstand, power still working, and on the screen's reflection, something moved behind me. I turned. Nothing, just the chair. Turned. Again, this time it faced my bed. That's when the question stopped being am I imagining this, and became, why is it getting closer? The sound that shouldn't exist. The next night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Not with the chair watching me. Not with the silence that pressed against the walls like a living thing. I lay still beneath my blanket, eyes open, staring at the dark ceiling while the minutes crawled toward that familiar hour. 2:41, 2:52, 2:59, and then 3 a.m.? The air thickened. Not colder, denser, like sound itself. Had weight. That's when I heard it. Faint. Too faint at first, to be sure it was even there. But it grew. Slowly. Reluctantly. A whisper. Not words. Just the texture of a whisper. Like breath against a wall. Constant and broken. It wasn't coming from the window, or the hallway, or even the bathroom. It was coming from inside the apartment. From the walls themselves. I sat up. The whisper stopped. I held my breath, heart ticking in my ears, then hum, low, like the beginning of a distant chant. It came in waves, a subtle vibration that tickled the edge of perception, rising and falling, like something breathing through concrete. My body froze, but my instincts screamed, leave, now. I stood, took 2 cautious steps toward the door, then the hum responded. It rose sharp like a chorus of teeth grinding together, then dropped back into silence, as though it had noticed me moving. It wasn't sound anymore. It was language, or, worse, recognition. I pressed my back to the front door, hand on the lock, but I didn't open it. Something in me whispered that it would be a mistake, that it wanted me to run, and then, behind me so close I felt the shift of air on my neck. Don't. It wasn't a voice. It was the idea of a voice. Planted directly into my mind like a parasite. I turned. Nothing. Nothing visible. But the shadows had grown longer, as if the corners had stretched toward me just slightly, and the hum had vanished, not faded. Stopped, like a thought withdrawn. I slept with the lights on again that night. But it didn't matter. I had heard it now. Something lives in the walls. And worse, it knows I know. The presence without a face. The days became meaningless. After that, everything I did, making coffee, brushing my teeth, even blinking, felt like a delay. A countdown, not to 3 a.m., but to the moment it decided to stop waiting. I stopped inviting friends over, stopped calling family. What could I say? There's something watching me, but I can't prove it's real. They'd send someone. They'd say I'm unwell. But I'm not unwell. I'm not. I'm just not. Alone, it started showing signs in little ways. Not the dramatic movie kind. No flying dishes or slammed doors. Just movements. Nudges. Little hints that the world around me was being adjusted. Books on the shelf would shift by a millimeter overnight. Not fallen. Not askew. Just enough to be different. The cabinet door in the kitchen would open exactly 3 inches. Always 3. Never more. And the mirror. It no longer reflected my room correctly. There was a moment short, maybe 2 seconds where I caught my reflection, blinking too slow. Not just a delay. Wrong. Like it was mimicking me, and got the timing slightly off. I backed away. Looked again. Normal. But it wasn't. I could feel it. Like the glass had forgotten how to lie. And the chair. The chair no longer moved at night. It moved when I blinked. Not far, but enough that I couldn't deny it anymore. I sat down one night, determined to film it. I left my phone recording the whole room, from 2:55 a.m. to 3:10 a.m. When I reviewed the footage, everything looked fine. No movement, no whispers, no chair, except at exactly 3 hours, 0 minutes, and 17 seconds, the video skipped. Just a flicker, a single missing frame, and when the image returned, the chair had disappeared, gone, not moved, gone. And then, at 3:10, it was back. The video never showed its return. I played that part frame by frame. I froze at the exact moment just before the skip, and my heart stopped. Because for that one frame, the walls didn't look like walls. They folded outward, like something stepped out, or stepped in. I don't know how long I stared at that frozen image, but it felt like hours. And that night, I couldn't bring myself to sleep, not with the weight of invisible eyes pressing into me, not with the quiet scraping I heard behind the walls. I know now that isolation isn't safety. It's an invitation, a signal that you're ready to be studied, and whatever it is, it's watching me closer now. The unspoken warning by the 7th night. I had stopped fighting the ritual. I didn't try to sleep. I didn't pretend I wasn't waiting. I just sat in the center of my apartment, lights off, phone recording, breath shallow, and watched the darkness breathe around me. At 2:58 a.m., the air shifted, the kind of shift you feel in your bones before your mind catches up. I didn't move. 2:59. The shadows began to deepen in the corners, not with movement, but with intention, as if they were choosing where to concentrate. Not random, not drifting, strategic. And then, 3 a.m., the hum didn't return, the whispers didn't return, but something new did. A scratching, not frantic, not hostile, not calm, methodical, a slow, circular motion, as if someone or something was etching symbols into the inside of the walls, right behind the headboard. Then the closet, then the mirror. It moved in patterns, loops, pauses, scratches again, like it was. Spelling at 3:04, it stopped, just like that. And something small, so small I almost missed. It fell from the ceiling. I stood, heart frozen in my chest, and walked over. A single piece of paper lay face down on the floor beneath the overhead light. It wasn't there before. I'm sure of it. No breeze, no attic above me. Nothing that could have dropped it. I picked it up. No writing, just a hand-drawn circle, shaded in ink, inside it. An eye, stylized, almost ancient-looking, with a slit pupil, and below it, in shaky lines, barely legible. Do not turn around. I didn't move, didn't breathe. I stared at those words, heart pounding, knowing that even a twitch of my neck might change something. Then the silence shifted. It wasn't empty anymore. It was waiting for me to disobey. I felt the pressure of a presence behind me, so close, closer than it had ever been. Not touching, but right on the edge. like a breath I couldn't feel but knew was there. I stood like that for over an hour. The entire time, I never turned around, not even once. When the sun finally rose and the light bled through the curtains, the pressure lifted. Whatever was behind me withdrew. But the warning remains. It's not just watching anymore. It's communicating, not with threats, not with screams, but with something worse: quiet patience. Something is playing a game, and I've already lost the first move. The moment of truth I didn't leave. I could have. Maybe I should have. But something about this presence, this pattern, felt unfinished, like a sentence that paused mid-word, just before revealing its meaning. And I had to know. The next night, I set a trap. Not to catch it. How could I catch something I couldn't even look at? But to invite it, to acknowledge it. I cleared the floor of my apartment, laying out salt in a perfect circle at the center of the room. In the middle, I placed the paper it had left, the one with the eye. I turned off the lights, sat beside the circle, and waited 2:57 a.m. The air felt electric, not like a storm, but like standing too close to something that's thinking. I spoke, aloud for the first time in days. If you're watching me, I see you too. Silence. 2:59. The shadows curled in, recoiling from the salt. Something in the walls groaned, not physical, but real in its intent, like a building holding its breath, like it was deciding. Then 3 a.m. The room shifted, not visibly, not in a way I can explain, but the walls weren't in the same place anymore. The dimensions of the room stretched ever so slightly. The corners widened, and the ceiling seemed just a bit too far. I should have run. Instead, I stepped into the circle, and for a brief moment, the world became still. All noise stopped, even the blood in my ears, even my heartbeat, and then clarity. Not words, not images, just understanding. It doesn't want to hurt me. It wants me to see. In that moment, I felt it fully. The presence, the intelligence behind it. It had always been here, in this space, in the walls, in the moments between ticks of the clock. It gathers, it watches, it learns, but not randomly. It follows patterns, rules. It approaches those who live alone, who follow routines, who won't be missed for a few hours or days. People who are easy to observe without disruption. People like me. It doesn't haunt you. It studies you until you're ready. I fell out of the circle, crawled backwards until I hit the wall. The dimensions of the room corrected themselves, slamming into place like a sudden breath. 3:11 a.m. Just like that, the atmosphere returned to normal. The salt was scattered. The paper was gone, and I was alone. Except I wasn't. I'm no longer being watched. Now, I'm being chosen. The inevitability of darkness. There are no more whispers now. No scratches. No shifting chairs. Because it doesn't have to hide anymore. Since the night I stepped into that circle, I've felt it constantly. Not just at 3 a.m. Not just in the shadows. It's in the hum of the refrigerator. In the flicker of the bathroom light that used to be stable. In the spaces between thoughts, where something foreign now sits, waiting to be noticed. I tried to leave, packed a bag, took my keys, opened the door. The hallway outside my apartment looked the same, but felt off, like a painting of my building. Not the building itself. The colors too flat, the shadows too still. I stepped out and turned to lock the door, but there was no door. Behind me, just wall. I blinked, confused, heart hammering in my throat. Turned around, still the hallway, and then I was back inside, standing in my kitchen. Keys in my hand, bag on the counter. No memory of returning, no transition, just repositioned. It doesn't want me to leave anymore, and it doesn't have to let me. The night after that, I stopped using mirrors. I covered them all with black sheets, because I saw myself blinking again. But my reflection didn't stop blinking. It kept going, slow, long, deliberate, like it was trying to get my attention. Sometimes, when I pass a reflective surface too quickly, I swear I catch something else staring out. Not me, not even human, but curious. And lately, I've been dreaming, not the normal kind. The dreams feel more like memories that aren't mine. I stand in rooms with no doors. I walk through endless corridors, made of breathing stone. I sit in a circle of watchers, none with faces, all staring into a light that never flickers. And always I wake at 3 a.m., even if I go to bed at 2:58, even if I never fall asleep. 3 a.m. comes, because time bends around it now, because I am no longer in control of my nights. Last night, I woke up with the word welcome carved into the condensation on my window from the inside. I wiped it away. It returned an hour later, but this time, it said, not yet. The fear that stirs, I don't remember what it feels like to be truly alone. Not anymore. There's always something beside me now. Not physically, never that easy, but in the corner of my attention, in the way silence pulses like a living thing, in the way my shadow lingers. Just a second too long after I move. It's part of my world now. I left a camera recording last night, still hoping to catch proof, but the footage didn't show me. Just my apartment, still silent. No furniture, no light, no me, as if I had ceased to exist while the camera watched, or as if something had overwritten the frame where I should have been. I played the audio track back. A single sound could be heard. Not footsteps, not voices, just the low, drawn-out creak of a door opening and never closing. That's when I realized it never wanted to be seen. It wanted to be understood. And now that I've tried, it's inside the understanding, inside the part of me that once called fear a temporary thing. Now, fear is residence. I still walk the same halls, still brush my teeth, still pretend I'm functioning, but it's different now. Every reflection holds weight. Every silence feels too deliberate. Every night, no matter where I am, I wake up at 3 a.m. I even stayed at a hotel once. Different city, different bed. Still woke at 3 a.m. Still felt the shift in the air. Still saw the outline of the chair. Even though there was no chair in the room, it follows me, not in body, but in awareness. The moment you know it's there, it knows you back. I've come to accept that I'll never be free of it. That's what makes it so horrifying, because the most terrifying thing isn't what's behind the door. It's knowing the door is always open now, and whatever watches from the other side never blinks. Could you sleep after hearing this? What do you think really happened? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and, if you dare, explore another tale before bed.